The Extraordinary Summit of ECOWAS convened to discuss recent political development in Mali. The meeting is at the instance of the chairman of the Authority of Heads of State and Government of ECOWAS and President of Ghana, Nana Akufo-Addo. Prior to the extraordinary summit, the president had met with the special envoy and ECOWAS mediator in Mali, former President Goodluck Jonathan, who briefed him on the latest developments in the country. Following his meeting with key political actors in the West African country, President Buhari will be accompanied by the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Geoffrey Yama, Minister of Defense, Major General Bashir Magashi, retired, Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Otumba Richard Adebayo, and Director General of National Intelligence Agency, NIA, Ahmed Rufai Abubakar. Nine Mobile is maintaining the initiative of contributing and developing the society through corporate social responsibility. The latest is the recognition of the contributions of health workers in combating COVID-19 in Abuja. Musa Abubakar reports.
It's a deserved recognition for these frontline health workers who have worked continuously at isolation centers to help COVID-19 patients get back on their feet. Dr. Ayinde is one of many whose outstanding contribution was noticed by Nine Mobile, which cheerleads the initiative to appreciate and recognize health workers.
I just felt it's a responsibility of me to volunteer and also to encourage my colleagues to volunteer. Because if you don't volunteer, no one is going to take care of our people. And you may have our relatives, our relations, our brothers and sisters, our friends that might be affected. And indeed, we even lost some of our parents of some of our colleagues.
They put their lives on the lines, their families missed them, they were here hours on end looking out for the general purpose. So we felt it was important to, to recognize and associate with our health workers. They are really our superheroes.
Message from the Honorable Minister of Health, Dr. Osagi Ehanire, is that the Federal Ministry of Health particularly welcomes this emergence of health workers being identified and recognized for their hard work, for their resilience, for their commitment.
This is a big encouragement to all the staff of National Hospital, particularly those who worked at the isolation center during the first wave of COVID-19.
Nine Mobile says it is poised to lead any initiative that will encourage and celebrate selfless service in society. In Abuja, I am Musa Abubakar, NTA News.
14 students abducted from Greenfield University in Kaduna have been freed. Public Relations Officer, Kaduna Police Command ASP Muhammad Jaligi confirmed the release. The students were abducted 20th April this year after bandits broke into the university, killing a staff and abducting 20 students and 3 staff members. 3 of their students were found dead 23rd April and 2 of them were again found dead April 25, 2021 in a village close to the school. One of the students was earlier released after ransom was paid for his release by his parents. Now, barely hours into the tenure of the Chief of Army Staff, General Farouk Yahaya, Boko Haram terrorists attempted an attack on troops of Operation Hadin Kai in Ran in Borno State. The terrorists came in their numbers, mounted on gun trucks, and attempted to infiltrate the main entrance to the town. The troops were right on hand to counter their move and inflicted humiliating defeat on the terrorists who abandoned their evil mission and took to their heels. The troops successfully destroyed one of the gun trucks and recovered multiple weapons. Similarly, troops of Sector 2 Operation Hadin Kai raided suspected Boko Haram logistics base in Yobe State. Following a sting operation conducted, troops nabbed 2 suspected Boko Haram logistics suppliers and several items recovered. The suspects are in custody for preliminary investigations and would be handed over for prosecution by relevant agencies. Chairman of Economic and Financial Crimes Commission EFCC Abdurrashid Bawa has told the House of Representatives at her committee investigating the status of recovered looted funds and assets that property seized from former Petroleum Minister Dezeni Madueke was valued at $80 million. The EFCC chairman also said that jewelry seized from Dezeni is worth more than 14 billion naira. All these, he explained, are yet to be disposed of by the commission.
Value that we have, yes.
No, can you tell us the figure again?
14,460 million.
Is it for houses, for cars, or for jewelry?
No, for jewelry.
Jewelry alone?
Yes.
14 billion?
Yes.
Why does it take so long to turn this asset into cash to fund the budget?
The court processes and procedures, is chief among them that requires a very lengthy time of us to dispose onto this. Other issues, administrative exigencies, etc.
Concerned that keeping an asset, be it liquid or physical, over a long period of time could affect their value, the committee urged that agencies should endeavor to dispose the assets and transfer amounts accrued from the auction to appropriate accounts of the federal government. Work on the Kadun standard gauge rail line will commence in July this year. Minister of Transportation Rotimi Amechi disclosed this when he visited Governor Abdullahi Umar Ganduje at the Kano Government House. Abdullahi Mustafa has the report.
The Transport Minister's visit to Kano was to assess the progress of work on the Kano Inland Dry Port project. Initiated nearly 2 decades ago, the project took off last year with the provision of basic infrastructure by Kano State Government. More than 2 billion naira was expended on the construction of access road, perimeter wall fencing, as well as electricity and water supply to the site. Mr. Rotimi Amechi, who expressed satisfaction with the pace of work, assured the federal government's commitment towards its timely completion and takeoff. During an interaction with Kano State Government officials, Mr. Amechi told Governor Ganduje that work will commence on the Kano-Kaduna standard gauge rail project in July this year.
Like you know, we're also linking Kano to Maradi, so you still have the problem. This will be like a hub for the train, for the railway sector.
Of course, Mr. President is making the Kano the actual commercial nerve center of northern part of this country and also some West African countries.
Governor Ganduje expressed optimism that the ongoing capital projects being undertaken by the federal government will further boost the economic fortunes of the country. In Kano, Abdullahi Mustafa, NTA News.
The National Institute of Marketing of Nigeria says the professional body was able to realize 80% of budgeted revenue in 2020 despite economic shocks caused by COVID-19. This was brought to the fore at its 10th annual general meeting, which produced a new leadership in Lagos. Amakawo reports.
Statement to be considered.
The annual general meeting of the National Institute of Marketing of Nigeria provides the institute the opportunity to interact with members across the country and make public audited annual reports and accounts for the year 2020 on the review. Records show that the expenditure reduced by 40%, while net surplus increased by 200% in the previous year. The AGM also changed the mantle of leadership and inauguration of council members. Idorinyangi Nang emerged president of the institute, winning 306 votes out of 342 total votes cast.
If we unleash the potential and the power of our marketing community, definitely you'll find equity everywhere.
For the immediate past president and other members of council, ensuring brand equity remains paramount.
Brand equity is the essence of a brand. What does it stand for? So if you talk of NIMN and say, what is it for? What does it mean to the members? The members are proud that it has the values that they can associate with.
To ensure that more females are mentored even from the university, to get to join the institute.
We will ensure that will facilitate the consolidation of the relationship amongst the industry, the government, and the academy.
The National Institute of Marketing of Nigeria was established to ensure practitioners adhere strictly to codes of professional marketing practice in the country. In Lagos, Amaka O, NTA News.
Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has inaugurated an overhead bridge in Yola, the Adamawa state capital, the first of its kind in the northeast sub-region. The project, executed by Adamawa state government, is to champion the cause of traffic management system and enhance beautification of the state. Yusuf Jika reports.
The first ever overhead bridge in Adamawa State and the Northeast was constructed within the period of 9 months and adjudged to meet specification of the contractual terms. The overhead bridge, aside from beautifying the capital city, will also serve as turning point of attracting more economic fortunes to the state, thereby improve the well-being of the people. Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, who inaugurated the gigantic project, commended Governor Ahmadu Morofentry for the feat achieved within the 2 years of his administration. He revealed that Governor Fentry has broken the genes of governance in the state by changing the negative narratives of the critical infrastructures, particularly roads in both the urban and semi-urban centers.
Our governor is trailing the pace in clearing the ground for others to emulate. To this extent, therefore, he is a pathfinder that requires the support and encouragement of every well-meaning person in this state and indeed in the whole country.
Governor Ahmadu Morofentry said government is committed to ensuring no one is left behind and nothing is left untouched in the realization of Adamawa of our dreams.
This is one of our package for the Adamawa renewal campaign. We hope to sustain this campaign at this pace or even at more speed stride.
There were words of commendation and encouragement from stakeholders who described Governor Fentry as a man with a vision of transforming the state to greater heights. The overhead bridge was named after late Lamido Adamawa Aliyu Mustafa. In Yola, Yusuf Jika, NTA News.
People's Redemption Party says it is committed towards entrenching ideals of justice, equity and fairness to bring about economic development and promote well-being of the Nigerian people. National Chairman of the party, Professor Sule Bello, stated this at the National Delegates Conference in Zaria, Kaduna State.
Delegates at the just concluded National Convention of the People's Redemption Party rose from their meeting in Zaria, adopting decisions to strengthen the party through greater unity among members in states, local governments, and ward levels.
This is our concern. How is this country going to be salvaged? How is it going to be built? How are our people going to live in peace? How are people going to have justice?
It is not to make noise, it is not to eat, it is not to drink, but to learn something that will make us leave our footsteps in the sands of time.
It is my belief that the People's Redemption Party, as an ideologically oriented political party that is guided by a commitment and dedication to the emancipation of the poor people of this country from the cobweb of exploitation and oppression.
This vision is what has always prompted PRP faithfuls to remain confident that the country has no better choice than democracy, which guarantees citizens' participation in governance. They termed this national convention as Zaria Declaration, which members are adopting to ensure it captures power come 2023, believing that the party will offer better option for Nigerians. In Zaria, Tina Turu, NTA News.
Governor Muhammadu Yahaya has flagged off construction of Township Road and a school to commemorate his second year in office as Governor of Gombe State. Emmanuel Akela reports that the peaceful celebration in Gombe had sons and daughters of the state in attendance and visitors to celebrate with the people of the state.
To the residents of Kumbia quarters in Gombe metropolis comes a road, a model primary and junior secondary school. The Pantami Stadium is always the rallying point whenever there is a celebration. Politicians of Gombe extract and friends who come visiting extol the achievements of the first APC administration in Gombe State.
When we campaigned in 2019, we told the people of Gombe that let them vote for Inoa, he will not fail them, he will perform beyond our expectations. Today, what we have seen here, it has testimony to the fact that he has performed.
Governor Muhammadu Yahaya, who is elated by the praises, said the successes recorded in education, healthcare services, infrastructure, and human capital development was not without the support of the people.
In fulfillment of our ambitious and strategic goal of providing critical infrastructure, we have constructed about 350 kilometers of road network under our Network 11100 initiative.
Part of the Yahaya's second anniversary celebration was special Friday prayers by Muslims to be continued on Sunday in churches by the Christian community for continued peace and prosperity of the state. In Gombe, Emmanuel Akila, NTA News.
Time for some messages. Do stay with us.
Nigerian leaders at different times played significant roles in the progress of Nigeria. From May 29, 2015, His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR, has strived to sustain these legacies and also made commendable impacts in Project Nigeria, including the transportation sector. Road Transport Employers Association of Nigeria, under the able leadership of the National President, Alhaji Musa Mohammed, congratulates Nigerians on our 22 years of unbroken democracy and identifies with His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR, on the occasion of his 6th year as the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Nigeria is our collective heritage. Our strength is in our diversity. Let's unite to make it work. Congratulations, Nigeria. Upward Super.
When times are tough, we know that as a mother, one thing you should never compromise on is your family's oral health, because they deserve the best. Oral-B, all-round protection. Its great value, it protects your mouth from harmful bacteria and also protects you against tooth holes and gum problems which can lead to tooth loss. It strengthens your family's teeth and gives them all-round protection. So remember, protect their future. Oral-B for healthier, stronger teeth in just 1 week.
The House of Representatives Special Committee on the Review of the Constitution is inviting stakeholders from across the 6 geopolitical zones to its public hearing holding at 12 centers from 1st to 4th of June 2021. For more details, check weekend publications of The Sun, Daily Trust, and The Nation newspapers. Announcer Ahmed Idris Wase, Deputy Speaker and Chairman of the Constitution Review Committee.
Center for Ethical Rebirth Among Nigerian Youth, Sereni, announces the 2021 National Youth Conference on Drug Abuse. Team recognizing the nexus between drug abuse and insecurity and the need for urgent collaboration between the youth and government in the task of securing the nation. Date, June 22, 2021. Venue, International Conference Center, Abuja. Time, 9 a.m. prompt. Conference Chairman, Retired Major General IBM Haruna. Speakers, Retired Brigadier General Mohammed Marwa. Executive Chairman, NDLEA, Mr. Olive Stupi, Country Representative, United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, Mr. Abe Atako, India High Commissioner to Nigeria, and Professor Udenta Odenta, renowned author. Signed, Chuks Akamado, President, Serani, supported by Nigerian Television Authority, NTA.
Nigerian youths are about the greatest assets the country has at the moment. It is therefore not surprising that the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari is strategically responding to the yearnings of the youth through multiple projects and programs. Youth entrepreneurship support years by Bank of Industry, the Youth Investment Fund by the CBN, and several other conditional cash transfer programs. Recruitment of 774,000 social workers, majority of whom are youth. scholarships, and so many other projects that are beneficial to youths directly or indirectly. If the administration can do all this, definitely with a degree of patience and time, it can achieve more. Nigerian youths must come together to say no to terrorism, no to vandalism, and no to all disruptive tendencies. Hashtag Youth for Greater Nigeria. Pacifying the youths, unifying the nation. Revision classes on television for students in secondary schools in English and mathematics will commence on the NTA. The revision classes will transmit Mondays to Fridays from 5 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. on the network service of the NTA. This is organized in preparation for the various national examinations and orders. This is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Education.
His Royal Majesty Major General Felix Mujakberu retired. CFR Emina Orwell 1, the Oroje of Okpe Kingdom, condoles with the Nigerian Army and Air Force at the sudden death of its gallant officers who lost their lives in the line of duty. Lieutenant General Ibrahim Atairu was a personal friend until his demise a few days ago. I rated him as one of the finest officers I ever interfaced with as an army officer. Similarly, Brigadier General G.I. Abdulkadir was my ADC for many years when I was in the army. He was a very loyal, dedicated, and efficient officer. I also condole with the wives, children, and families of the 11 fine officers. May the gentle souls of these gallant officers of the Nigerian Armed Forces rest eternally in the bosom of the Lord. Signed, His Royal Majesty Major General F.A. Mujakberu, retired, CFR MNI Orwell 1, the Oroje of Okpe Kingdom, Ororope, Delta State.
You're still watching NTA Weekend File with me, Joseph Johnson. 22 years of democracy in Nigeria is the longest stay of democracy in the political history of the country. But does this duration reflect the expected maturity? What are some of the memories, the beautiful and of course the sad ones? Mia Ogidi takes us on a journey to yesterday and peeps into the future.
And that I will preserve,
protect,
and defend
the Constitution
of
the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
The return of the Constitution. Warm reception from the political class. Flashes of smiles of freedom on the faces of others. That was in 1999. The past. And this is the present. In between the past and the present lies the story of the survival of democracy in Nigeria. Some are stories of how democracy struggled to survive. The death of a sitting president, Umaru Musa Yar'Adua, in 2010, bringing into the picture the doctrine of necessity, was a major point. The APC taking over power from PDP was landmark.
Pleasure to hand over this also to you.
And of course, major Supreme Court judgments dislodging incumbent governors and supplanting opposition party candidates were really defining moments.
If not for the Supreme Court of Nigeria, this democracy would have been a forgone thing.
Victory for democracy. But the plural nature of Nigeria promotes identity politics. Then more deep-rooted is electoral violence. Of course, these put democracy in somewhat reverse gear.
I think at the heart of electoral violence is politicians failing to play by the rules and weaponizing poverty and using violence to get power at all costs.
Since after the 2019 general elections, democracy is demoralized, as it were. INEC, the only midwife and last lifeline of democracy, is under attack from yet-to-be-identified gunmen.
Clearly, these are acts of unjustifiable aggression which may undermine the Commission's capacity to organize elections and dent the nation's electoral process.
All agents of government who are compelled not only by statutory means to deal with anything that will disrupt what was started in 1999.
2023 general elections are fast approaching. Electoral Act amendment foot dragging. Democracy waiting to grow faster. And the electorate watches helplessly. But believers of democracy waiting at the end of the tunnel, because definitely there must be a light, since there is a country. Mie Ogede, NT News.
In recent years, Lagos has gained international attention, not for its peculiarities, but as a model for effective governance. As Nigeria celebrates 22 years of uninterrupted democracy, correspondent takes a look at some salient factors why Lagos is regarded as a melting point for deepening democratic governance in Nigeria.
It has been 22 years since Nigeria returned to democratic rule, and Lagos State has maintained one ideology, the progressives. This practice over the years has paid off based on the immense dividends delivered to the citizenry, hinged on equal and fair participation without ethnic and religious bias. Samuel Egube is from Delta State. He is a typical example of Nigerians who hold appointive and elective positions outside their states of origin. He believes Lagos has driven democratic principles to where competency is placed above sentiment and tribalism.
The capacity that you have in Lagos ensures that Lagos continues to prosper ahead, right? Because those who contribute to it are diverse.
He is not the first to benefit from the robust participatory system of government instituted by the first governor, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Venerable Kiri Wakama, Kabiru Ahmed, and Jude Adimogu are other examples. Not in their widest imagination would they have dreamt of making a mark in their chosen endeavors. They all came to Lagos at different times in search of greener pastures.
It's probably the only place where non-indigenous will come and claim rights, even more than the indigenous. Lagos probably will boast of the highest non-indigenous landlords than any other city or state in Nigeria for that matter.
The issue of ethnicity, instead of it to become a disadvantage to me, rather, Lagos has been able to harness it, I can say it's an advantage to me. And once you are recording success, you become the best friend of Lagosians.
Political appointees and in political position in Lagos State, they give you fair deal in the sense that go and participate. If you are popular, he believes in your popularity.
Never seen a tribe that is as tolerant as Yorubas, So these are the things that combine together to make Lagos what it is today. They open their doors.
Lagos has laid the solid foundation for democracy to thrive at the state level, and it is a practical example of how faithfulness in any relationship can deliver unimaginable gains. This is why the state has enjoyed relative religious tolerance and peaceful coexistence among the citizenry. In Lagos, Yola, NTA News.
All right, let's begin the discussion segment as I have with me in the studio Osereme Osumbo, a professor of law and former governor of Edo State, as he joins me now. Prof, you're welcome to Weekend File.
Thank you, it's my pleasure.
All right. So insecurity is undoubtedly a threat to democracy blossoming in Nigeria. Let's first of all look at some of the major hitches negating the democratization efforts in Nigeria.
Well, as it is now, as of now, even though the governments at various levels, states, federal, perhaps even local government levels, have made some strides in giving the people the dividends of democracy and doing their best to entrench democratic governance within their respective areas of jurisdiction. No matter the amount of success they have achieved, these successes are being negated by insecurity, which you mentioned, to the extent that the problem of insecurity in Nigeria by all accounts, by the admission of virtually everybody, is the problem of insecurity. Because that impacts on all other aspects of governance.
Yes.
You may say government has an obligation to provide good roads. But if there are bandits and kidnappers waiting for you on those roads, then you will still not feel safe.
Yes.
People used to say that hunger is a problem of the people, but you'll be complaining of hunger when you are alive. People cannot go to their farms, and therefore the problem of food shortage is getting worse, it's aggravating. And even the health situation, just name it, economic progress and prosperity of Nigeria is being hampered by this same problem of insecurity. So as I said, no matter the gains and the strides that we have made in the various spheres of governance, unfortunately, the benefits are not being realized because they are being cancelled out by the problems of insecurity. And that means, that has meant that government has had to shift its focus and also resources more than it ordinarily should be to tackling this problem of insecurity. The funds that are diverted towards this problem could have been more judiciously expended in other areas of governance. So,
okay. Yeah. But the security agencies have been combating the menace, but how have they fared so far in tackling it, especially with the rising number of cases in recent times?
Well, just like you, I've been seeing on television, reading from the press, their utterances that they are doing their best, and they come out to tell Nigerians about the successes that they have recorded in smashing some of these different criminals, whether you call them terrorists or kidnappers or bandits. They come out from time to time to address the public. So really it's for them to say the extent to which they have succeeded in that area. But my perception is that they are being overwhelmed. And they are being overwhelmed because of a number of factors. First of all, there is a dwindling revenue base for Nigeria. The earnings from crude oil, which is the mainstay of the economy, is falling. But much more importantly, and this is a point that I make with all due sense of responsibility, which is hardly mentioned as one of the problems confronting Nigeria today, is the problem of population explosion. I dare say we need to bring the problem of population explosion to the front table, to the front burner. Because no matter how much success the security agencies are making, there is a continuous entrance of new actors within the space. Because of a number of things, a number of reasons, but we need to ask ourselves, to what extent can government continue to shoulder so many of these responsibilities without looking at the source of the population that comes, because these bandits, kidnappers, terrorists are part of our population. And if the problem does not appear to be overcome, and we hear many are being neutralized. In fact, I am surprised, considering the number, hundreds, if not thousands of people that are said to have been neutralized. We still see so many of them coming out to replace the people who have been neutralized, which means there's an endless source of these criminals who are eager and willing to fill the space that is being left through the neutralization of their peers.
Okay, so insecurity challenge has assumed a disturbing, dangerous and terrifying dimension, hasn't it? I mean, incessant attacks, like you said, on police formations, INEC offices, you know, kidnapping here, banditry there, rape and murder. Where are we going as a country? And that brings me to asking you, how would you appraise the Buhari administration, the 6 years of Buhari administration, talking about securing the country?
Well, first of all, in terms of general assessment of the performance of the administration, I would say that if you look at the various spheres and sectors, particularly listening to briefings by the ministers of the various ministries, when they come out and they tell you how much has been able to achieve during these past few years, you begin to wonder because the public doesn't seem to realize that they are achieving so much, but they do. They are achieving quite a lot. Take them ministry by ministry. There's no time to go into, and don't even have the facts readily available, but whether it is road infrastructure, whether it is the area of social intervention, social security intervention programs, and so forth and so on. A lot is being recorded. You just need to bring a minister to say, okay, let's see your scorecard in this ministry. But your question is, how come that in spite of this, we still are experiencing so much of these criminalities? People attacking police stations, and INEC offices, INEC offices, and so forth. There are many reasons. I don't think that there's one singular reason for that. There are agitations in various parts of the country for one reason or the other. There's hardly any part of the country that you won't find people agitating for one reason or the other. In fact, we are told that even the bandits have their grounds with government. They have their reasons for agitating. Yeah. So those who are doing these things have their reasons, but it is not through violence that you can solve these problems. For me, there is no problem that is too serious, too difficult to be resolved on the table.
All right, let's Professor, very well, you've landed very well, but let's just take a break and take some messages. When we return, we'll continue with the discussion. So stay with us.
Everybody want joy, everybody want love, everybody wants to glow, nobody want party love, everybody want joy, yeah. Who don't like it better? And if you wanna talk to money, seven. If you wanna top your credit, seven. If you wanna run on time, yo, seven, seven, seven. If you want plenty data, seven. If you wanna go do seven. One more seven, he said seven, seven, seven. Let me hear you say this super number. Seven, seven, seven. For easy life, it no get you wahala. Seven, seven, seven. When you use the code, it be like you win the lotto. Seven, seven, seven. Let me hear you say this super number.
The whole sensational world of love, now accessible through one code, *777#.
Six years down the line, how has the Buhari administration fared? Governance and development is our focus on NTA Tuesday Live next week. It is going to be analytical, incisive, educative, and expository with those who should know. Tuesday Live, every Tuesday at 10:30 p.m. Join us.
With 22 years of Nigeria's uninterrupted democracy, some political watchers in Anambra State are of the view that in spite of the current security challenges in some parts of the country, the citizenry should remain grateful to God for bringing the nation thus far as one entity. Chinyere Fesio Koye reports.
The political and economic watchers who maintain that Rome was not built in a day and that notwithstanding threats of security in recent time, appreciable successes have been recorded in different sectors in the past 22 years.
We thank God because we cannot compare this period with a military regime. It can't be compared. The blessing, the development, the growth is enormous.
Democratic principles entail freedom, physical development, freedom of the citizens, freedom of the press, autonomy, as the case may be. But you can see that with respect to Nigeria, as a matter of fact, Nigeria has not been able to realize or achieve some of these democratic principles or dispensations, as the case may be.
In all honesty, we have all enjoyed democracy to an extent, but there are still some aspects that we are lacking.
Reiterating the need for governments and leaders at various levels to brace up to security and economic challenges that have subjected the citizenry to untold hardship, the academics speak on what is expected of the citizenry to complement the efforts of the government to make life more meaningful.
In a little corner, we should at least do what we think we could do to help the nation. First of all, our conscience.
It will be recalled that the 22 years of uninterrupted democracy in Nigeria began on May 29, 2009 in Oka, Chinyere Fesi Okoye, NTA News.
Okay, let's just pick up from Chinyere Okoye's report where she said political watchers in Anambra State say the citizenry should remain grateful to God for bringing the nation thus far as one entity. I still have with me, of course, my guest, Professor Osereme Osumbo, former Edo State Governor, to still talk on the subject matter. Professor, you just listened to the report which just finished. Let's look at 6 years, the span of 6 years. What has government brought to the table, talking about what infrastructure, rail line, what are those things, those key things that we can say, you know, infrastructural developments that the government has brought to the fore?
Well, you've mentioned some of them, Joseph Johnson, by yourself. I can say, speaking from the experience of people traveling from Delta, using the rail line up to Ajakuta, you know, that is unprecedented. There are many people who are enjoying that facility who never thought they would ever be able to ride on a train in Nigeria. That is happening within the period, the last 6 years of this administration. You look at roads also. Of recent, I have not traveled on the Enugu-Port Harcourt road, but I'm reading reports that the road that was a death trap for very many years has been completed and it is beautiful to ride on. I used to travel the Onitsha-Enugu Expressway. I also understand that a long stretch of that road is now excellent. The same thing with the Kaduna-Kano, Zaria-Kano Expressway, which is being done. So in terms of, not to mention the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, of course, we also have the Lagos-Ibadan rail services, which people are enjoying. Looking at the infrastructure at the airports, you will marvel at the amount of transformation that has taken place. The last time I traveled through the Abuja International Airport, I couldn't believe my eyes that that was an airport in Nigeria. I used to see those standard of airports outside of Nigeria. Yes. So I felt very proud within me that we have this kind of facility in Nigeria. I mentioned the social intervention program before. Previously, we used to hear about poverty alleviation program, but I never have I seen anybody who was lifted out of poverty through the poverty alleviation program that we had previously. But now, from time to time, we see people on television celebrating this government, how the government has been able to provide them capital, training, and they are able to stand on their own and even become employers of labor. And so many other sectors, you can find that successes are being recorded.
Okay, Professor, just your last thought, because you're rounding off now. Okay. What are your final thoughts regarding, moving forward?
Well, moving forward, let me just mention that I stopped at the point of talking about negotiation. In a demo, you need to talk. But I want to qualify that by saying that you don't talk, government will not talk under duress. So bandits that are holding a gun and saying we want to negotiate with you, I would not support that. And I believe people have to come and present their grievances and it will be looked into and resolved by all of us together. The other issue is justice. The problem of lack of unity, symptoms of absence of unity is traceable to people's feeling that they are not getting justice. Let justice prevail like an ever-flowing river, and there will be peace in the land. And finally, as the person from Anambra State said, this is not something that we should leave to government alone.
Yes.
Everybody has his or her own role to play. And parents have parental responsibility to their children. It is not just government that should be responsible for the children that you bring into the world. The parents have a responsibility also before government can play its own complementary role.
Thank you very much for bringing your thoughts to bear. Professor Oserime Osumbo, former Edo State Governor and of course a Professor of Law. It's been very, very interesting talking with you.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure.
All right, thank you. All right, let's just take some messages. Stay with us.
My name is Osage Ehanere. I am Minister of Health. We have just taken the vaccine. It is the AstraZeneca vaccine. This vaccine is safe, properly researched. It is in use in many countries. We urge all Nigerians to submit themselves to taking this vaccine, persons who are 18 years old above. Otherwise, it is safe. You take your second dose after a period of about 10 to 12 weeks, and then you have immunity. Nigeria is aiming to vaccinate 70% of our population, and therefore be one of that 70% to give us herd immunity. Herd immunity means that Nigerians will not easily become infected even if they get in contact with the coronavirus.